pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first order of business is to adopt tonight's agenda, and I haven't heard any changes.
Make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda as presented.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded that we adopt tonight's agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Guest presentations.
There we go.
I guess.
What's up?
Who wants to stay right here?
Yeah, you're great. Right there. Yep. Do we need to pull this up first? Oh, it's good. We're good.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm Holly Anderson, and I'm on the SAC.
I'm Riley Rothsonner. I'm a student athlete here at Kendrick.
I'm Mercedes Steinbrenner. I'm also a student athlete here at Kendrick.
I'm Travis Six. I'm also a student athlete here at Kendrick High School.
Nathan Twyatt, and I'm part of the SAC.
So the SAC stands for Student Advisory Council, which is a diverse group of students chosen by the board who participate in interscholastic activities and athletics. They're focused on providing education and leadership through open and honest communication with other students, administrators, and coaches. The SAC started out with 2 kids that wanted to bring sportsmanship to high school environments and has now blossomed into 33 students, driving each from the 5 districts in Idaho.
The SAC also, Mike Federico, part of the IHSA, he helped kind of spearhead this, and he, a couple of years ago during the IHSA board meetings, they were kind of discussing, like, has anyone asked the kids what they think? And that's kind of where this came about, is having student advisors across the state and ask them their thoughts on just a variety of things in IHSA that they vote on. So that's kind of their roles as being part of it.
So how Hallie and I are a part of it, I got started when I went to the Spring Summit, which is held around March or April every year. And basically the district, so there's the 5 districts, our District 2 members of SAC held this Spring Summit, and it's basically them just trying to encourage kids to join it. And I liked it when I went there, so I came back and I talked to Molly and she got me a resume, and then I told Hallie to fill it out, and then we filled it out and we got accepted.
The Sportsmanship Conference, it was this year on November 20th, where we all 5 went. The people that went, it wasn't just our schools, all the other schools as well. It consisted of like student athletes and athletic directors from around District 2. The symposium is held each year in order for schools to come together and discuss the pros and cons of sportsmanship around our district. We aim for attendees to return to their schools with new knowledge and skills to create a better environment for their schools.
Shannon Wilson, who's one of our District 2 officials for a variety of sports, and he's also the athletic director at Clarkson High School. He came and spoke just about officials in general. He talked about how there's an official shortage across the state, specifically in our region, that there was 96 officials and now they're down to 27. I believe this was for basketball, so trying to schedule officials right now. And he talked about how sportsmanship is a huge aspect of that. There's a lot more new officials too that are starting to do it, and he talked about even 16-year-olds still in high school can do it. I know there's a couple students from Troy who are officiating a couple nights a week for basketball and I think volleyball too. So he talked about that to encourage people if they have an off season and are looking for a good way to make money and they still love sports to become an official.
The Battle of the Fans is it's a video that shows sportsmanship and school spirit. If you win, you get a banner. Deary won a few years ago. There's a small school division and a large school division, and this is the winner from last year.
I'm just going to show a little bit of this video.
This is a large school division.
High school in Pocatello is currently on fire.
And I'm eating at the beat like you give a little speed to it.
of one, and Sawyer Hewitt is actually working on putting, a draft for our school so that again, it's due March 1st, and we have a lot more sports and stuff to add.
As we had mentioned previously, the symposium had other athletes from District 2 schools. So obviously here you would meet other student athletes from all these other schools. And here we would talk about similar interests. They gave us this like bingo board about all different interests that we had. Like maybe there's like you were born in the same month, or you played an instrument, or you played the same sport. And in reality, or in the end, you just had fun doing it, and you got like you learned new things about each other, and it kind of made for a good time, and ultimately just let you just had fun doing it.
So what we're working on now, we met in August, the entire state, so the 33 members met in August in Boise, and we talked about like our goals for this year. And one of the things that came up was this thing called the Captain Handbook, which is coming out hopefully by the start of next year. And basically we're talking about a lot of us who were also student athletes were captains of our teams, and we didn't really know like how to act. Like people always like, you have these captains meetings and they're like you guys can talk to you about problems, but we didn't know like how you should really be acting as a captain. So we came up with a set of guidelines and rules that we're going to send out to coaches to give to their captains, and they'll read it before their game so they know what they can do and can't do.
Yeah, and then we're also working on a banner. So when we went down to Boise, we all kind of broke off into different groups. And me and Nathan went into the banner group. We decided we kind of wanted a universal sign that embodied sportsmanship. And we developed the idea of the acronym GEM, standing for Give Everyone Their Moment. We kind of thought this was a great way to remind others to let the players play and the coaches coach, the officials officiate. We've been working on the banner for around 4 months now, and are working on finalizing it. And then when it's complete, we will send it out to everyone, and they'll be able to put their school colors in it, and then hang it up in their gym.
Mike Federico too said that they are just in like finalizing stages of like, what's it called, when marketing and things like that to make sure that they can do it and it's not going over anyone else.
So we also planned our spring summit, which is what got me and Hallie into SAC. I talked a little bit about that before. We're aiming for March 11th in Moscow, but we don't have a site for sure yet. And what we're really trying to do is we're going to send emails to all the ADs throughout District 2, and we're trying to get 2 to 4 current sophomores from each school, and we're going to encourage them to join SAC.
Any questions?
I think it's a good idea.
Great.
Come right.
My little legs are tired.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
There it is. agenda, which is the minutes from November. Bill, classified personnel action, and certified personnel action. So I don't believe they're in. Does anybody have any questions? If we're going to review the bill a little longer?
You had your question answered.
I've seen you had some questions.
Did your
on the
question
bill,
get
sorry?
answered?
So I was just curious on the one, I just didn't know about the finance charges for the bank.
Yeah, was it the 2943? Yeah, so Jenny just hadn't gotten me those numbers from last year. They were bank charges for Wells Fargo, just bank service fees. We don't have those anymore with
Okay.
ICCU, but that's just what those were.
Okay,
The district reimburses.
I just figured they did something special for us or something like,
No.
something that was like a monthly charge or like.
Oh gosh,
my
no,
gosh.
no, that was
Okay.
23, 24, and going forward with ICCU, we are supposedly don't have bank fees anymore,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Wells Fargo strikes again.
I just can't get rid of them.
Yeah, the other one was the Wi-Fi, is that, I assume, is that a monthly?
TDS Internet, the 2273.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our monthly internet, and that's district-wide, so both buildings.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded, we approve consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Informational report, financial report.
To review our balances for ICCU and our LGIP. I believe last month we still had zero in the school modernization facilities fund. We did receive, I believe it was 80% of that fund this month. APHVAC was here most of the day today, taking off, they have a big crane out front, taking off units and putting the new units on, so we should see a bill from them for that. So when I get that, I'll transfer the money from LGIP to ICCU and then cut them a check for that. Otherwise, I'm not aware of any funding, any other expenses coming from that fund. I've also attached the budget summary, balances as of November 30th. If you want to take a look at that, if you have any questions. Otherwise, I don't have much to report.
So I have a question that's a little bit off topic. So, so when everybody looked at their taxes, their property taxes in December,
Okay.
so my property taxes like 2 years ago had a line item which was other, which I assume was plant facilities, and then was bond, and then the supplemental levy. But this year, that wasn't there. So
Okay.
could explain to the board what happened there? I assume it was money from the state, and what happens to that money and what's it used for? It's used for our bond and our and how does that go?
Yeah, yep. So with some of the funding that we received, it was all related back to taxpayer dollars, a cut for taxpayer dollars each month, or every 6 months. I haven't wrapped my head around what those percentages look like in relation to what taxpayers will and will not be paying with taxpayer dollars. But with the school district, the school modernization facilities funds, while that was written for schools, it was also written as a tax break to our taxpayers. So there was no money for schools on here? I don't
Well, it's
pay
just-
property taxes, so I don't know.
Just a levy amount. There was no, like my plant facilities was like $25 and the bond was $100 and it wasn't on there.
Okay,
And so, which is great, you know, we didn't have to pay it, but then
yeah,
there's no really way to remind people that, yeah, we still have a bond and
Right.
somebody's still paying for it.
right. I need to look into that.
Yeah.
because I wasn't aware that it would be a total tax rate to taxpayers. And you're Latah County, correct?
No, I'm Nez
You're Nez Perce County, okay.
And I don't know what Latah County does different things.
Okay. Let me, let me look into that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Mine actually showed the amount that I didn't have to pay
Oh, it did?
through that bill.
Okay.
So mine said like, basically, I don't remember what the dollar was, a couple $100 or something, that basically was being relieved
Right.
because of
Okay,
the school modernization
okay.
bill.
Okay.
So maybe Nez Perce County didn't actually show that
They
amount.
didn't,
They just
didn't-
subtracted it.
Yeah, they didn't put it on there like.
Okay. Yeah, and I rent, so I don't pay property taxes, so I never see on that receiving end of it, so.
And I don't know how that works, or whether
Okay.
lowered our levy at all, or
Yeah.
whether it was just, and then what happens, if it's enough to do the bond and enough to do the plant facilities, then what happens to the rest of the money?
Right, yeah, and it all, like I do our, oh gosh, our L2s for taxes every year for each county. And when you receive so much levy money, that in turn is supposed to give a tax break back to the taxpayers, and it's all done at the county level.
Right.
But then they never really tell us what that looks like to the taxpayer at the end of the day. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I'll reach out and see. I'm gonna start with Nez Perce County, and then I'll go from there, because if we're not collecting that, I mean, I'm still getting our monthly remittance checks from Nez Perce County. So I'll look into that though. I'll call and figure out what's going on. Thank you for bringing that up.
Any other questions? All right, Technology Director's report.
Okay, so with E-rate, we have some interesting news. The Fifth Circuit Court ruled that the funding mechanism for E-rate is unconstitutional. So that case is now headed to the Supreme Court for a hearing in March or April. And if they decide to rule on it, it would be July before we would know what the outcome on that would be. The big one being that there could be a potential loss of money for Category 1 and Category 2. If that were to happen, that would mean that the state would also cut off that fund as well. So back in August, I had reached out to the State Board of Education, the broadband office, and talked to them about potentially using money out of the broadband infrastructure program to build fiber between all of our buildings. And we haven't had a need for it in the past, but we've had some issues with the telecom providers here this year, and it's come back on the table. So we pay, what I submit to the feds each month for our reimbursement is about $1,950, and that's before the E-rate and the payments from the State Board of Education. So talked with the guys at the big office, and they were trying to schedule this around our contract that we have with our service provider. So it means that in summer of 25 next year, we would determine a timeline for a bid process. We would establish an RFP. We get the bids back before Halloween or Thanksgiving, and then we would be looking at fall Thanksgiving to score them, approve it, and then start that process. So we could be potentially, which we've needed, building fiber between the high school, the elementary, and the bus garage. What does that do for us? Well, technically it would drop us to just our internet access every month, so that would move that down to about $750 a month. If we were to lose the funding, that would be the only thing we would be on the hook for. We wouldn't be on the hook for basically the connectivity between all the buildings that we have. So that's on the docket, so you will be seeing some documentation probably in the spring as I get stuff ready to go for this. Money out of our pocket, there should be none. It's all covered under the state program and through USAC as it sits right now, so that's what we're looking at here moving forward. The other one is I've been working with our PowerSchool instance to get some new plugins in to enhance the usage of our product. If you have access to the parent portal, you will see some changes in there, some alerts that parents will be able to see, and there's a new attendance monitor feature that we have turned on in there as well, so that way parents, when they get in, they can look and see what their students' attendance looks like, how many days have been gone on excused absences, those types of things. So we're flushing that all out and trying to help out admins with some of the creation process of letters that need to go home. Right now it's a pretty labor-intensive process for them to be able to track and generate and make all those happen. With this new plugin, it's basically a 10-minute process, and all the letters are automatically generated for you. So we can run reports on pretty much just about anything we want to related to attendance that goes in the system. So between that and help desk tickets, it's been a nice busy month. So anybody's got any questions?
Any questions for Dan? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Principal's report.
I go, right? Okay. Our current enroll is 131. We dropped 3 students. We had gained 3 students. And we got a couple more coming our way. So that's nice that it's staying in the 30s. That's great. Our attendance, that's what Dan talked about. It is a little bit, I had a little bit of trouble today, but I got it down 96%, which is great. That's what we want to aim for. And then the breakdown of classes there. Our events, we've had Christmas concert. We had a leader in me training yesterday for our Lighthouse team. And we went to a basketball game today at the U of I. That was great. A women's basketball game. The whole school went. Friday, Santa comes to visit. If you guys are interested in coming to see Santa, come on down. Or ice skating. Just a reminder that we have a science coach that comes to our building twice a month and a math coach that comes once a month. For safety, we had a fire drill on the 5th, and our ISAT scores are attached on the back. You can compare from September when we took our test to now. Sorry, so we're closing the gap. Working hard.
There's a hot chocolate drive.
Hot chocolate drive, I know, yes, there was. Did you hear us, or did you see us?
Yeah, I saw it. Had a good line.
Yeah, it's popular.
Any questions for Dory? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Okay, at the high school level, our students of the month are listed there. The category this month was STEM students. Discipline report, we had 14 referrals, 2 suspensions, and 1 bus referral. Our attendance took a dip this month. It's actually probably a little bit higher than it was last year at this time, but we're trying to hit, our goal is that 94, 95 mark. We budgeted, I think, for 93 is what, so it was, yeah. So hopefully that comes back up a little bit next month. Athletics coming up, baseball and softball. One of the things that we're working on is with the addition of baseball lighting, we're working to schedule home games later in the day, so that's happening right now. To get those spring sport athletes in school at least close to the full day. They're used to missing 2 to 3 afternoons per week, and so we're excited about that this year. In football, our 2025 football schedule is now complete. We have a home-and-home agreement with Hagerman now for 25-26. Troy is looking to play either like a JV schedule or maybe just not play the top White Pine teams. So that opened up another non-league date, which is always a challenge for us. So we're able to add Butte County, Oakley again, both of those at neutral sites, and then Hagerman home and home. So we should have 4 home games, I believe, which is the minimum that we're always looking for. BPA regionals recently happened. We had 19 students go to the U of I to that event, and then Mrs. Hadley added a little bit about that below. Kendrick BPA students traveled December 4th to compete in the leadership conference at the U of I. 19 students competed in events ranging from word to video production and graphic design promotion. 10 of the students qualified for the state conference. March 3rd through the 5th in Boise. For the district, not a ton there. HVAC work though started today. So we had AP here working on that. Kim's been on the roof this afternoon and tonight working as well. So making some progress there. Yeah, we had can't do the gym until March, but we got we do have a little one kind of helping out a little bit up in above the weight room entrance. I don't know if you saw it up there, but it's probably not doing a lot, but maybe helping a little bit. So, interim ISAT testing has begun. So science, math, and ELA have started that, and they started looking at those scores. Those are short practice tests, short, 1 or 2 days short, to help give the teachers a little bit more background and figure out where they need to spend more time possibly. And that will be here right around the corner. That's all I have.
Was that district or was that?
No, it's actually high school, but
Oh, we have to.
you have, yeah. I actually did have it under districts because I confirmed it.
Okay.
Any questions? Enrollment's at 135 right now. Okay, and I'll turn it over to Amy.
Okay, real quick, I put out a handout for all of you guys, and this will happen at next month's meeting in January. We do the yearly meeting where we reorganize the Board of Trustees. So next month, which would be January 15th. January 15th. What we'll do is we'll come in and basically we kind of dissolve the board as is. The chair, vice chair, Mr. Kirkwood, the superintendent, will take over, and then there has to be a nomination for a chair, there has to be a nomination for a vice chair, there has to be a nomination for a clerk, a treasurer, and then there has to be a second. And then we also will go through and we'll do the yearly meeting where we pick and designate our newspapers, our meeting location and time. This is kind of just a little handout that the clerks at ISBA they put out. So just something to look over and look forward to next month. So when we come in, we'll disband the board. Mr. Kirkland will step in, and then you guys can nominate away. Is there any questions about that?
We'll be setting the calendar, so maybe just be thinking about it.
What's your summers? Monday summers.
Yeah, golf again.
In your summers on the dates. The dates and the dates.
Oh, right.
So, think about that.
I saw that Nestor School District is going to 7 a.m. board meetings, so if anyone wants to just throw that out there. Yeah,
Who does that?
Nestor's, they just released
7
their
a.m.?
board calendar, yeah.
How
I wouldn't be opposed to 7 a.m.
Or you'd have to meetings. Any questions on that? Next one.
Good, any trustee reports?
Well, I didn't say anything. I thought maybe you would talk about
Oh,
it.
okay. So anyway, Steve and I went to this meeting with our representatives. Lori McCann was the only one that showed up. Mitchell was in Boise at the JFAC meeting, and I don't work for it. Anyway, it was very well attended by the superintendents and a few board members. A lot of the issues were all in common. You know, one of the big issues was special ed and not having enough money for special ed, and you know, like the superintendent from Derry said, I've got a kid coming in and just this week, and I don't have. And he needs one-on-one, and I gotta hire somebody, and I don't have any money to hire anybody, you know. So that's, you know, it's not just us that have problems. And after listening to everybody, I felt pretty good that we only had 21% special ed kids. So some of them were, you know, going towards 30. So there's that issue, and then there's the issue about providing money for private schools. There's a lot of issues there. Nobody, public schools aren't in for that, but it sounds like that the legislature is gonna be for that. Something will probably happen, and that'll probably happen. I wouldn't be surprised if, Idaho Launch got traded, so maybe maybe they'll still keep Launch, but they'll do something for the private schools. The numbers thrown around are like 300 million. So that was that area, and the other area was funding and school funding, and whether, we're still doing attendance, and the governor's big on attendance, so it sounds like we'll keep doing that as opposed to enrollment for our payments. When we had our problem before, when we were losing attendance, all the big schools were gaining, and it worked for us, but now the big schools are losing attendance. And so this, whatever they're doing, this, you have to pay 3% in, and then it protects everybody. Well, that's kind of out of the window, of West Ada and Boise and Lewiston. Lewiston was saying that they were going to lose $6 million this year. So that's going to be a big issue in the state too. Not a lot of good news. I don't know, you got anything else to add, Steve?
No, I think that was right.
So, is there any other comments or anything you want to talk about there? Should we just go into the action items? First action item is to adopt the district calendar. In my opinion, I think moving the start date back a week was a good thing.
I do too, but I have a question about that. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
So my idea, cause like the farmers and Chad was saying last year, it started a little later. So I guess I'm looking at the calendar going, why can't we start after Labor Day? Why don't we just start school on the 2nd? And that way you don't start school and then take time off already. You go 3 or 4 extra days before you start, and then you're gonna get a couple days off for the fair anyways, in the first couple weeks, but you could take 2 days, and not say I'm not just throwing stuff out. But I say we get a week off for Thanksgiving, at least to not do that. So you could steal a couple days there, and then, like a day over Christmas, and then that would get you to the Labor Day start. And I didn't know if that just throws the calendar way off, or if, that way you're still ending the same time, and just take a few extra days from, am I way off, or, is that something that would help farmers out, and why would we start school a couple days before Labor Day weekend? I don't know why we just don't start afterwards.
At elementary, I enjoy it just because it's a soft start.
Yeah.
It gives kids,
I get that.
it's rough when it's a 5
Yeah,
day.
I think you kind of get that after Labor Day because you start and then you take 3 days off. And do you guys get those off for side school? For the fair?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So I was thinking you kind of get the same thing there.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like the board can set this calendar up however they want. This is just a recommendation. The rationale for a few things. The rationale for like Thanksgiving, for example, is that those tended to be really low attendance days, so we take a hit on our attendance. Most of the poor attendance days we've addressed. So fair, Thanksgiving, random days. That's kind of the rationale there. Here at the high school, after Labor Day is fine, before Labor Day, I'm kind of indifferent. I can tell you that the school starts to fill up with kids, you know, like the second week of August, once sports start. But it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I mean, it would just be a matter of, you know, would we want to find days in the calendar and move them to make way for a later start, or bump everything back in the calendar? Just those are the two things that it would come down to.
Yeah, 'cause I was just saying it's just 2 days, so it's just kind of, you know, they get to start and, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I just thought it might help everybody that way.
Well, I mean, I can do two things. I'm more than happy to bring this back to the district leadership team and give them that. Or if this is approved tonight, put it on the agenda for the next calendar to consider.
Right, I was just
Either one.
throwing it out there just to see if that
Oh,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
crazy thing.
I'm more than happy either way.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, I know there's districts that start after Labor Day. And you might have to go a little bit longer in June, too.
Yeah, and I guess if they want to keep their days, then they could just go a couple more longer, but if there was a couple days, you could still somewhere, and maybe, I don't know. And I assume, we have days for snow days already in that, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we're pushing it back a week already, so it might be good to see how it works out, especially, you know, going into June.
Yeah.
If we went from, you know, the last day of May to, what would be the 10th or 11th of June, 10th of June, it's kind of a jump too, so I don't know what to say.
No, this is already a lot better, I think, in my mind, than starting like the 21st of August or whatever.
Well, yeah, that was just too early. I think everybody agreed with that.
I'm okay with the calendar, but if we were to change it, I would say bump it back. Like, I don't think you're gonna find any value adding 2 days in Thanksgiving or 1 day, you know what I mean? But like, I'm fine with the calendar as it is, but if we were to change it, that's what I would advocate for.
Yeah, I'm fine with the calendar, I was just curious on that. I'm more interested in waiting 3 more days to start.
Yeah, I understand when you first bring kids in, you don't want them there for 5 days in a row. I mean,
Right.
especially the little ones. Trying to get them in the routine or whatever. It's hard on everybody.
But it's happened, I mean, it's happened, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough, but it's nice when it doesn't have to happen, but it's happened. Survivable.
Is there a motion to adopt it?
Yeah,
If you want to make one, I'm not making one.
I'm gonna do that big calendar.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the calendar as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, renewing the principal's contract. This would be a 2-year contract. Any comments on that? I assume our superintendent is recommending it. I would recommend it too.
Yeah, that's,
What traditionally we've done is we've waited to change the amounts of the salary until after negotiations, and then most of the time although there have been exceptions, but most of the time like if we give the teachers a 3% raise, we give the administrators a 3% raise.
I'll make a motion that we renew the JES principal's contract for 2 years.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we renew the principal Julietta's contract for 2 years. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now the superintendent's contract. Now on the superintendent's contract, it says 3 years. And a few years ago, we went around and around about whether he could do 3 years or not. But I assumed that eventually we figured out we could do 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
And then we have a good year this year, not just gonna go to another school.
I think you approved the contract. I'm locked in.
I move that we renew the superintendent's contract.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we renew the superintendent's contract for 3 years. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Okay, the next policy, action item is policy, consider adopting policy 3265, student-owned electronic communication devices. And I think Steve provided a clean copy. Any further discussion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve, policy 3265.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we approve policy 3265. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Is there any board input for future agenda items?
I just had one email to you about TAC. You know, so I emailed Steve and Dawn about, we have this TAC committee and just the idea, like working off what ISBA and what Lewiston does.
Tell
is-
them what TAC is.
Oh, it's his well, it's his technical advisory committee, which I believe is mandated by the state, or anyway, we set it up. Kendall and Steve are both on it, as well as like 6 or 8 other people, community and staff. I just thought it'd be a nice idea, because like Lewiston uses like community groups or like these organizations to help guide the board and make recommendations and reports to the board, and create a mechanism for them to come. So they meet like in August, they can come talk to us in September about what they do, and have a community member do it. You know, not nothing against Steve or Kendall, but that's like create more like community ownership of what's going on there, because they're the ones that are really guiding the committee anyway, is my understanding. So those 6 people. And that's it. Just you know, maybe like a standing item along that.
Yep, twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring is when we meet.
What month do they meet in the spring?
Depends, I think we shoot for April because their programs of work for the following year are due in June, I would say. The purpose of the TAC is just to provide input for our CTE programs, the direction they're going, curriculum. BPA and FFA are also kind of entwined in that, help with fundraising where we can.
And it might allow more like for us to understand how to support you guys more also. It's just an information flow type thing.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's all.
Any other input? So motion to adjourn.
I'll move. To adjourn.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.